People are not extras in the story of your life. They're the purpose that God has given you. I think sometimes when we watch movies and we see the action hero or the main character of a movie, we always identify ourselves with the main character. We see ourselves in their shoes. And I think it's no different when we look in the Old Testament, say the story of David, and we see David going to fight this giant. And in that story, we always see ourselves as David in that story, this main character of the story. But I think there's like a real healthy dose of humility that comes when we realize that in that story, like David doesn't represent us. Like he represents a foreshadowing of Christ, who is our champion that comes and defeats the enemy that we couldn't defeat ourselves. And so when we start seeing that, we actually find ourselves, instead of David on the battlefield, we find ourselves as one of those in the crowd that were unable to do what needed to be done in that moment and needed someone to fight for them. And that's exactly what Jesus did. But I think that whole illustration even carries over into today's life. Like, for instance, I think if we're not careful, we see ministry as a platform for us to validate ourselves or to find some level of fulfillment of being seen and being valued. But what I'm finding is that there's actually a lot of power, not in being seen, but in hiddenness. Jesus even said this. He said, if you do your works, do it in secret, that you can be rewarded openly by your heavenly Father. He says, but if you do it openly to be seen, then there'll be no reward. That is your reward. And I just want to encourage you just to know that, like, God may have you in a hidden season right now, and that's okay. Listen, it's not a waiting room that one day you're going to break out of the hiddenness and you're going to find your actual purpose. There's purpose in the hiddenness. There's fulfillment in the hiddenness. Like, you're with Christ. There's power in hiddenness. But it's not just to prepare you to not be hidden. It's because God is shaping you and molding you in that place to become more like Him. So I just want to encourage you today, like, don't fight to be seen. Don't do things so that people can notice you, whether it's at work or whether it's in the church world. But also, like, there's something we have to push back on in church culture, and we have to be intentional to do this, because there's almost this subculture of Christian celebrityism, where this celebrity culture is what invites us to do the things we do so that one day we can find ourselves in their place. So instead of projecting ourselves as David, now we're projecting ourselves as pastor. Now we're projecting ourselves as this worship leader or somebody that's seen and respected, because there's like this deep void inside of us where we don't feel like we're enough, we feel insecure, and we're trying to seek the validation of others. It's okay to be hidden. It's okay not to be seen. You don't have to have a stage. You don't have to have a microphone. You don't have to have a platform. You don't have to have a huge social media following to find purpose, to find meaning, and to find fulfillment. Wherever you are, lean into Jesus in this season, whether it's hidden, whether it's seen. And if it is seen, carry yourself with a heart of humility. And if it is hidden, embrace the season of humility. But in all of it, find Jesus. Love you all. God bless.